IBFD is an independent and not-for-profit center of expertise in international taxation. It specializes in tax training, publications, research and academic services. IOTA is a non-profit intergovernmental organization that provides a platform for its members for exchanging best practices concerning tax administration. IBFD and IOTA have a long history of cooperation. By signing a Memorandum of Understanding, the two organizations aim at strengthening the capacity of tax administrations to share technical knowledge in cross-border taxation issues, and facilitating a dialogue between tax administrations and businesses. Forms of cooperation will include joint events, joint research, and other information-sharing activities. The collaboration plan will be executed under the umbrella of the Business Meets Tax Authorities program. The program's pilot event is going to focus on a sector severely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, the tourism industry. The event will be a great opportunity to understand how cooperative compliance can help an industry which experienced shutdowns, disinvestment, and unemployment due to the pandemic. We are looking forward to welcoming representatives of tax authorities, cooperative compliance experts, financial experts of the tourism sector, as well as researchers at our pilot event on the 3rd of March in 2021.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Today, we shall witness the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding on cooperation between the Intra-European Organisation of Tax Administrations, IOTA, and the International Bureau of Fiscal Documentation, IBFD. In view of the COVID-19 pandemic, IOTA and IBFD have agreed to hold the signing ceremony virtually, where the Memorandum of Understanding will be signed simultaneously in two locations, in Athens, Greece, and in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. We wish to acknowledge the presence of our officials, Mr. Georgios J. Pitsilis, Governor of the Independent Authority for Public Revenue in Greece, as well as the President of IOTA, and Professor Dr. Victor van Kommer, Director Tax Services of IBFD. We also wish to acknowledge Mr. František Emrece, the Executive Secretary of IOTA, and other members of the IOTA Secretariat, along with the tax officials from IOTA member tax administrations and the colleagues from IBFD who are joining us this afternoon to witness this event. May we now request Mr. Georgios Pitsilis, Governor of the Independent Authority for Public Revenue in Greece, and the President of IOTA, to deliver his remarks on this occasion.
Thank you, Tracy. Good afternoon to everyone. I would like to say how delighted I am to be here today at this virtual signing ceremony, the very first of its kind for IOTA. And although we are unable to meet physically in either Amsterdam or Budapest, we are still able to mark this very important moment through digital technology and virtual means. And also technology allows us to be accompanied by more colleagues from IOTA member tax administrations, partner organizations, and fellow knowledge hubs on international taxation around the globe. Let me start with acknowledging this strategically important partnership for IOTA. Over several decades, IOTA has established strong alliances with key international organizations such as OECD, IMF, and the European Commission. We support the development of new ideas and approaches to improve tax administration and to provide support for developing countries looking to strengthen their tax systems. Our collaboration with IBFD turns a new page in strengthening IOTA's engagement with the business community to facilitate the dialogue between tax authorities and businesses in challenging times of tax uncertainty. In addition, This agreement paves the way for strengthening the capacity of tax administrations to share tax technical knowledge in cross-border taxation issues. It's definite that IOTA members will benefit from our cooperation with IBFD. The cooperation will allow us to improve the knowledge of tax officials on international taxation matters through participation in the joint events, as well as accessing the publications produced from joint research work. And furthermore, the cooperation with IBFD will offer opportunities for IOTA member tax administrations to make better use of discussions with international business community and tax professionals in understanding compliance problems and developing innovative solutions to taxpayers to increase tax certainty and reduce administrative burden. I would like to congratulate that both organizations can immediately move forward with implementing this MoU. We join forces and plan to deliver the first event under the series Business Meets Tax Authorities in the beginning of March 2021, focusing on tax compliance of the tourism industry in, hopefully, post-COVID-19 times. As we know, as of September 2020, more than 121 million jobs and livelihoods in the travel and tourism sector have been impacted globally as a result of probably the worst economic and social crisis of our modern times. IOTA and IBFD are working together to understand the needs of this business sector for tax compliance and identify some potential strategies or approaches that may help address the compliance difficulties faced by this industry as a result of the COVID-19 crisis. So in conclusion, I would like to express how truly enthusiastic I am, personally and on behalf of IOTA, to be initiating this new partnership with IBFD. We are certainly looking forward to a long and successful relationship, and we are committed to achieve our common vision of intensifying the sharing of knowledge and practical solutions for the benefit of tax administrations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Pitsilis. We now request Professor Dr. Victor van Kommer, Director Tax Services of IBFD, to deliver his remarks.
Thank you, Tracy. Dear Mr. Pitsilis, and good afternoon to all of you who I consider friends of the IOTA community. Signing a Memorandum of Understanding is an expression of the willingness of two parties to cooperate. And that is based also on the conceptual idea that together you are stronger than to be alone. And how we can strengthen our cooperation, and that is of course to recognize each other's capacity. IOTA is an organization with an in-depth experience in what's happening in tax administration, in the implementation and execution of tax laws. And IBFD has built up for more than 80 years a strong knowledge proposition in international taxation, what is now of course also the prerequisite to understand the global economy. The devastating influence of COVID-19 has an enormous impact on the revenue collection by tax administrations. And at the same time, we see that governments are still spending a lot of money, what is necessary for tax stimulus programs to support the economy. And then, of course, you will see in the long run that the gap between revenues and spending will increase. And after this period of COVID-19, there will be more demands towards these tax authorities. And thus you can say the easy time of tax collections are over. And when we look to where IBFD and IOTA can work together, then we have to understand that in every tax jurisdiction, only about 2% of the registered corporates, the so-called large taxpayers or multinational enterprises, are responsible for more than 60% of the tax collection. and combination of corporate income tax, withholding taxes as VAT and wage tax and dividend tax. And they are by nature, and also the ultimate beneficial owners behind it, are global players. And there we can strengthen the cooperation between IOTA and IBFD. IBFD wants to emphasize that one of our preconditions as a foundation, and that's by nature a not-for-profit organization, is our independence. And our independent position gives us also the position to bring parties together, different stakeholders, and to start the tax dialogue. It starts always to understand the rule of law, but the ultimate evidence is compliance. We have chosen, as Mr. Pitsilis also mentioned before, the tourist sector as our first topic and our first event. Due to COVID-19, especially this sector is hit enormously. In many IOTA member countries, the tourist sector represents between 10 and 20% of their GDP. And I think in the country of Mr. Pitsilis, it is even 22%. Revenues are evaporating, turnover is evaporating, profits are gone, and savings are also spent. And IBFD and IOTA don't want to wait and to see what will happen, but we want to be in the front seat, also to understand what's happening in this sector and to support. Ultimately also to secure tax compliance. And tax compliance is always more than only to collect revenues. I am coming now to another part of my speech, and that is a personal note. As some of you know, I have a special relationship with IOTA. The whole idea of IOTA started in the mid of the 90s during a CIAT technical assembly in Spain. It was in 1996. And on the way in the train between Sevilla and Madrid, the Dutch delegation, I was part of it, met the Slovakian delegation, and we discussed the possibility of a European organization for tax administration, especially during that time with rapid economic changes, especially for the Central European countries. There was a need for such an organization, and also to prepare many countries to become member of the European Union. After more than 2 decades, I feel also a little bit proud to see that an organization as IOTA is so flourishing with so many members. And that is also the moment to be grateful also to the secretariat of IOTA under the stewardship of Mr. František Imreche, and of course all his colleagues who made this cooperation possible, also the formalization of it, and also even to organize this event. I'm grateful for it, and what I told you, I'm also proud for this cooperation. I started my speech to say that cooperation is based on mutual understanding, and finally to create together added value. And I really hope that our communities, our tax community, will see the fruits of this cooperation in the coming years. Many thanks, and I wish both organizations a great journey in this cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Van Kommer. The Memorandum of Understanding on Cooperation between the Intra-European Organisation of Tax Administrations and the International Bureau of Fiscal Documentation will formally establish a framework for cooperation in the field of international taxation and will enable both organisations to join forces in assisting tax authorities to cope with challenges relating to cross-border taxation issues. The present MoU is signed for a period of 3 years. At this point, may we now request Mr. Georgios Pitsilis, the President of IOTA, and Professor Dr. Victor Van Kommer, Director Tax Services of IBFD, to sign the Memorandum of Understanding on Cooperation between the Intra-European Organisation of Tax Administrations and the International Bureau of Fiscal Documentation. Thank you. We shall now proceed with the photo session to commemorate the ceremony. We kindly invite our signatories, Mr. Georgios Pitsilis and Professor Dr. Victor van Kommer, to hold the signed Memorandum of Understanding on Cooperation in front of the camera for this photo. Thank you. Following the ceremony, the IOTA Secretariat will coordinate with the IBFD headquarters on the exchange of the signed Memorandum of Understanding for the other party to countersign. IOTA and IBFD will then have their respective copies with the signatures of both Mr. Georgios Pitsilis and Professor Dr. Victor van Kommer. This concludes our ceremony. We wish to extend our sincerest appreciation as well as our best wishes for the good health and well-being of everyone who joined us this afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you to both the teams of IOTA and IBFD for this excellent work and the excellent preparation.
Thank you. Thank you, Georgios. Thank you for all your good words and the cooperation, of course. Thank you very much.